Because of a whole new batch of Twitter drama, the conversation continues over what Halo 6 should be like. And we're at a new divide, a new argument, and a brand new battle. T-Squared took to Twitter to say some rather ignorant things about the casual community, and how multiplayer should be as competitive as possible. Somehow to wave around the fact that he's super awesome and a pro. But that's not the case. That's never been the case. In fact, Halo has flourished the most when it's actually worked towards the middle, despite what a lot of people who want classic settings try to tell you. What am I talking about? Let's talk about that right after the drop. So what's up everybody, how's it going? Legundo here, welcome back, and I as always am trying to be the voice of reason in the Halo community that compromise is in fact not a dirty word. Instead of blindly campaigning for one group of settings and one subgroup of the Halo community to be the catered to and to be the only real focus of Halo 6, I really do think Halo will be its best when it suits the most people possible. Because Halo has always been a diverse and really widely varied and starkly different game and different community than you see in most other titles. See, Halo has the forgers, the griftballers, the pro players, the machinima makers, the people who love to do clan raids, the warzone diehards, the arena tryhards, the sweaties, the casuals, and everywhere in between. And Halo actually did its best back in the day when it was working with more people and actually catering to benefit as many people as possible, and that was done through a wide and diverse swath of game settings. Tons of different things could be tweaked, tons of different things could be changed, and Halo could become almost an entirely different game depending on how much you push those sliders in one direction or another. A lot of people seem to forget that even back in the day, in Halo 3 or Halo Reach, pro players didn't like default Halo. They changed the starting weapon to be the BR or the DMR in 3 and Reach respectively, upped the movement speed, upped the damage slightly, reduced shield regeneration time to make communication just a little bit more important. Radar was always turned off. All of these settings were not the default Halo, and not the Halo that was played in 90% of matchmaking playlists. But again, selective memory is a hell of a drug, so people seem to forget that detail when it comes to older Halos. Older Halos was not only ever one Halo. Older Halo was always multiple different subgroups inside of one cohesive engine. And those settings can be tweaked and changed and turned off, including maps. There were MLG versions of pretty much every map for Halo 3, and the maps that you were playing in matchmaking you wouldn't see in MLG. There's different weapon layouts, different drops, different architecture. There was forge maps, custom forge maps, and custom forged versions of maps spanning all the way back since Forge was a thing. I remember Onslaught, which was pretty much the go-to Halo 3 MLG map. That was just a Forge map on Foundry, completely built, completely custom, and that was before Forge was nearly as powerful as it is today. And that's just a Forge map. Why don't we have Forge maps in HCS right now? Forge is by far more powerful than it's ever been, and the fact that we don't have Forge maps in the HCS rotation when people have been able to create maps that look better than some of the developer maps that we actually have absolutely baffles me. But there's this myth right now that Halo can cater to no one, and Halo would fail if it doesn't cater to one specific group. So of course every group is campaigning to be the one group that Halo caters to. The classic players are, well, again and as always, going for classic gameplay. The pro players now all of a sudden, some are making a push for more competitive settings, which is fine. Some are doing it really well. I'd recommend checking out Green Skull's Deer 343 open letter that he did with Ninja, Spartan, and Mikwin. That is how you make a plea for a specific set of settings. That is how you do it. That was amazingly well put, well edited, and importantly, and most importantly, respectful and professional. And I think if you want to get something done, that's how you do it. That's how I've been talking about doing it for the longest time. Not a dismissive 280 character tweet where you basically tell 98% of the community to get the hell out of matchmaking because they're not awesome enough for you. I actually got a great comment from Sean of Forge Labs on my video last week, and he was basically telling me, wait, are you basically saying no conversation? And that wasn't the case. Conversation I'm fine with. It's this dismissive and this argument and this just ridiculousness that I'm just so fed up with, to be honest. Sometimes I wonder just why I continue to subject myself to a bunch of the Halo community on Twitter. I can't see a single thread where people aren't jumping down each other's throats, pushing for this gameplay style or this art direction or this color for the Spartan armors, and it's sickening. It's really, content creators have just taken this way too far, and it's become personal. People get offended if they hear you like sprint or like thrusters or anything else, or if you think the game's too pro or too casual. I mean, the community's rallied around some awesome things and collectively memed T-Square into the absolute ground. So much so, I don't think he's actually tweeted since that train wreck of a tweet. But he also hasn't had the guts to remove it yet. Or, you know, apologize for being an asshat. But that's totally his opinion. Do I agree with it? Hell no. I think Halo is at its best when it caters to as many people as possible. Now, I'm not saying that there should be this huge, big divide where Warzone has all your enhanced mobility and Arena has classic Halos. That's stupid. You'd be playing two diametrically opposite games. It's not in these huge swaths of massive changes. The devil's in the details. Play with 110% movement speed on the HCS playlist just to make the game feel a little bit better. Maybe disable clamber only on the HCS playlist. At most, that is the absolute most, in my opinion, that you should really do. Or leave it in and allow the skill ceiling to go even higher. Something I've seen on Twitter a lot is this fallacy that clamber rewards shitty play, and clamber gets rid of all of these ridiculous skill jumps that we've seen in Halo's past. And I'd argue in reality, clamber and the different Spartan abilities, when used at the pro level and when used on top of the already existing skill for crouch jumping and map movement and communication and all these crazy plays, just raises the skill ceiling even higher. Imagine having clamber on a map like Guardian all the way back in Halo 3. Look at all the jumps that you can already accomplish with just crouch jumping. Now take it one step further. Yes, clamber at lower levels of play does make certain jumps easier where you don't have to do the crouch jump. But the best games in the world have a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling, and allow you, the player, to fall between those two extremes where your level of skill is. Just because you take a less skilled player and make the game more enjoyable for them doesn't mean that you have to actively punch a more skilled player in the face to do it. There is no second law of thermodynamics for fun. Fun can be created at all levels of the spectrum. It does not need to be extracted from one group to be delivered to another. But it makes for a good soundbite and a good tweet, and it helps stoke the fires between all the different factions of the Halo community, so people keep pushing that narrative even though it's utterly bullshit. And I can say it now. I said it last week. I said it a couple months ago. I'll say it again in a couple months, honestly, because this joke will just continue going round and round until it's ridden us all out of the damn Halo community as a whole. I'm so frustrated with this. I'm so sick of this. I wish there was more to talk about in Halo and the Halo community than just people constantly fighting with each other or insulting each other because they don't like the way a game plays. Anyway, I just wanted to bust apart that whole fallacy of Halo needs to be as X as possible, whether that is as competitive as possible, as casual as possible. With the new movement mechanics, does that somehow degrade the player experience, or does it really just make all levels a little bit more skilled? Granted, what was a less skilled player in Halo 5 will hit more jumps than Halo 3, but a more skilled player should hit even more jumps and be able to do even more crazy things with the Spartan abilities provided in the Halo 5 sandbox. So you're raising the skill ceiling, or at least diversifying the playing field. That should be a good thing, right? But no. Push the fallacies, continue the arguments, and campaign for only one thing. It'll get us exactly nowhere, and we'll have an even smaller community if you get your wish. Because again, I said it multiple times during this video, I'll say it one last time because that makes for a nice wrap up. Halo is its best with a low skill floor and a high skill ceiling, with a diverse swath of options that allows multiple different playstyles and multiple different, minutely different gameplay for playlist to playlist to cater to the different communities. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be just only one community gets what they want. It can be done. It's been done before. It can be done again. if everybody would just pull their heads out of their butts and be willing to compromise. All right, that's my thought. As always, when it comes to the end of these videos, I'd love to know what you guys think, and I appreciate the fact that you guys have always been so awesome and just been good conversation and keeping it respectful down in the comments. I love you for that. You guys are the absolute best damn community because you don't go after people you don't agree with. You instead talk it out and have an actual real, conversation. All right, you know what to do. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you hate it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss these daily videos, and I'll talk to you next time.